Welcome to my day one guide for the brand new Frozen Nagua boss. As for gear, I've been rocking full Torva and using the scythe for a majority of my kills, but I did just pick up the brand new hammers that the boss does drop itself. So this isn't only going to be a guide on how to kill the boss, but also going to be a little showcase on what the boss's new hammers can do. Other than that, my inventory setup has looked something along the lines of this: 1 Divine Super Combat, 5 or so prayer potions, and then filling up the rest of my inventory with sharks. One thing I do want to add, this boss does drop a decent bit of alchable items and rune, so I also have my rune pouch with alch runes inside of it. One last thing I do want to note before we move on is while Scythe is most likely the fastest kills per hour, Crush is the primary weakness of this boss, so if you don't have access to a Scythe, wearing your best Crush-based weapon and armor is the better way to go. Now when it comes to actually getting there, it is in a very similar spot to that of when you took the boss on during the quest. So for your first few trips, go ahead and find your nearest Cutzel, travel over to the Gorge, make sure you have a stamina potion because there is a decent bit of running. You do have a bank right here if you want to use it. And we're going to make our way through this gate and then all the way east over here to the tower. I'm not going to show the entire run because you've probably already done it a couple times by now, since it is required to have completed the quest to take on this boss. And if you have not done so already, I will put my quest guide for the quest down in the description below. But now that we're back where we did a majority of the quest, you no longer have to take the eastern route down that staircase all through the ice dungeon. You can now make your way into the temple and use this lift platform right here. And it will drop you directly into the frozen lake, and you can just make your way west directly through the doors, and there is your boss room. The boss itself does drop an item called the Pendant of Eights, which is charged with the frozen tears the boss drops, or those can be purchased off the Grand Exchange. And this necklace allows you to teleport very closely to this area, making it much easier and faster to bank. And the way you unlock the access to this is once you charge up your amulet, you want to go ahead and use it on this statue right here, and then it'll unlock the ability to teleport to Twilight's temple, bringing you directly to where I'm currently standing. But now that you know how to get there, let's go ahead and talk about the boss fight. Now the boss is essentially the exact same as the version you faced in the quest, but maybe with a little bit higher defense. Keep your magic prayer up at all times, and then avoid getting hit by the basic ground attacks. Also be wary of where you're standing so you don't place icy pools all over the ground. And then look out for the 2 special attacks, this being one of them where he spawns ice chunks on the side. Making sure you use a melee weapon to take them out, and you can one-tick those. And then there's the second one where he's going to take off your protection prayers. And all you have to do is throw them back on before that projectile hits you, and you are good to go. You always want to make sure you avoid the icy pools on the ground because they do very harsh damage. Other than that, the boss is really rinse and repeat, and we'll even chuck on the unique Glacial hammers the boss does drop. They honestly work highly effective against the boss itself. But all you're doing is being consistently wary of what spawns on the ground underneath you, avoid standing on any of the icy pools, and then keep an eye out for the 2 special attacks. Every time she uses the projectile that's going to take off your protection prayers, she does pull her arm back, so it is easy to identify. And the same thing goes for whenever she's going to throw rocks across the room because she pulls both of her arms up. Just like that, one-tick these quickly. And as you can see, a 56-second kill with the hammers itself. Very comparable to that of the scythe. Not to mention the fact I'm not wearing any armor that does greatly benefit the crush attack style. If I was wearing something like Inquisitor, a weapon that is very cheap to acquire, can do some serious damage on the boss itself. But now that you're going to have a good understanding of how the boss fight itself works, let's jump into what kind of loot you could expect. And with 100 kills completed, here is the collection log. Only the pet left in order to greenlog it. We did end up pulling 1 pair of the hammers at around 80 kills. And then we got about 600 of the tears and 4 of the amulets, 3 of which I just broke down into additional tiers. Each amulet does break into 100 individual tiers. And if you didn't know already, the tiers are just teleport charges. As for the remaining loot, here it is in the inventory. We had about 293k worth of the initial rune alks, a few of which I didn't alk in the first couple trips. But if we go ahead and throw everything else in here, the only thing untradeable besides the amulet are the bone shards. Obviously, both the tiers and the hammers prices are probably a little skewed. I think as of this recording, the hammers are currently going for around 300 to 500k. And if we throw the final cash stack in, we have about 1.6 mil total from 100 kills of the new Frozen Nagua boss. Not too shabby for something that is definitely intended for a mid-tier account. Not to mention with the kill times, what could be a very easy boss pet to get. But that's going to do it for this video. If you guys did enjoy, consider dropping it a like.